Students, this is Miss Jung, and today, in celebration of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I will be reading a book called Going Home, Coming Home, a story by Truong Tran and illustrated by Anne Fong. And it's a story that's in two languages. It's in English and in Vietnamese, and I'll be reading the English part. Going Home, Coming Home. And there's an introduction by the author talking about their experience moving from Vietnam to the United States and what it felt like to go back. And one of the lines that I really appreciate in this introduction is, "It is a story of discovering that home is not a place rooted in a country, but a feeling rooted in the heart." So, where is home to you? Here we go. What's so great about Vietnam anyway? And why do you keep calling Vietnam home? I wanted to say. Instead, I sigh and say, this trip is taking forever. Amici, I told you this would be a long trip. Be patient. We'll be there soon enough. Mom and Dad haven't been back to Vietnam since they left during the war. They were about my age when they left, but they still think of it as home. But for me, home has always been our little ruby red house in America where Mom grows herbs and flowers in the backyard. Home is where you get to go to the Grand Canyon on vacation or ride roller coasters in an amusement park. Outside the window, there's nothing but blue. It's kind of how I'm feeling right now. When we step off the airplane, the air is humid and thick, and my shorts and my t-shirt stick to me. The airport is crowded with unfamiliar faces, some home. At the gate, Mom runs up to a man who is waiting. She is laughing and crying at the same time. "Amici," she says, "this is my little brother, your Uncle Ben." "Welcome," he says in a funny-sounding English. Uncle Ben has mom's eyes and nose, but he looks much older. He pinches my cheeks, which I hate. But then he bends over and gives me a pretty paper fan with a bird whose wings expand when you open it. I guess Uncle Ben isn't that bad. But paper fan or no paper fan, I'd still rather be home. Uncle Ben drives us through Ho Chi Minh City, where motorbikes and bicycle carts called cyclos pack the streets. They zip on both sides of the road. "Look," I shouted and pointed to a boy in the crowd. He calmly carries a bowl of noodles across the street, weaving carefully through the traffic that dances around him. Dad doesn't notice. He seems to be looking for the city he remembers. He says, "The city's name changed to Ho Chi Minh City when the war ended, but it will always be Saigon to me, the way it used to be." Uncle Ben shouts out, "Welcome to Saigon." We drive through endless rice paddies and that wave in the wind like a green sea. Mom suddenly points to a tiny house in the heart of all this green and says, "There, that's the house where I was born. The house is no bigger than our garage back home." An old lady stands in the doorway. She smiles, her hand barely covering her dark teeth. Mom runs up to her, laughing and crying like she did at the airport. Dad whispers in his ear, "That's your grandmother, your Ba Wai." So the word Ba Wai is spelled this way, but the author left a little note that says Ba Wai is pronounced Ba Wai. So hopefully I'm saying it right. Excuse me if I'm not saying it correctly. I hope somebody can teach me if I am saying it wrong. When Ba Wai hugs and kisses me, I feel funny. I don't know what to think. So in Vietnamese, it seems like grandmother means Ba Wai. In Spanish, it's abuela. In Korean, it's harmony. In Chinese, as we learned in Paper Sons, it's po po. So lots of different ways to say grandmother. Ba Wai speaks no English. "Don't get frustrated," Mom says. "She can talk to you in other ways." Ba Wai waves her fan. "Are you hot?" She taps her mouth. "Are you hungry?" Before I answer, she offers me sweet, sour fruits shaped like dragons and stars. I'd never tasted anything like them. I wonder if I'll ever get used to this place. Ba Wai is from Hanoi, up north near China, Mom explains. When she was younger, Ba Wai had to leave her home just like Dad and me. Ba Wai speaks and Mom translates. Why talk such terrible times when people had to leave their homes and friends? Her question hangs in the air. 2 weeks pass. I want to go go home, I say. It's too hot. Grandma's house is too small, and I can't understand what anyone says. I have an idea, Dad says, and he winks at Mom. We all go to Cholon, the big market. It's not like any market I've ever seen. Instead of one big store, there are millions of stalls crammed with all kinds of foods and clothes and tools and things. One man on a bicycle sells chickens. Uncle Ben argues with him for a while, then buys a rooster that looks like a ball of fire. Every home in Vietnam should have a pet rooster. What should we name it? Dad says and hands it to me. I've never held a rooster before, and it jumps out of my hands and runs away squawking. Hey, come back! I chase the rooster through the stalls and crash into a woman stacking mangoes. She's still shouting at me as I turn the corner. I run faster, but I can't catch that dumb bird. Out of nowhere, a boy and a girl race past me. I see them up ahead, chasing the flustered rooster. It doesn't know which way to go. Suddenly, the girl darts in and grabs the rooster by its bright red belly. In my awkward Vietnamese, I gratefully say, "Come on," which means thank you. "You're welcome," says the girl in English. "My name is Tao. This is my brother, Tuan." The rooster squawks in my arms and settles down as I pet him. We walk back to where Tuan, who is 15, left his motorbike. Tao tells me she's 7, 1 year younger than I am. Tuan and Tao take me to their mother's stall where she sells tiny fried canaries. "You can even eat the bones," Tuan says. I'm not sure if I want to try them. So Tao offers me some dried baby bananas instead. They're better than candy. I could spend my whole life eating dried baby bananas. The other customers at the stall seem curious about me. Can they tell I'm not from here? I know that feeling. Tuan says something to his mother and takes off on his motorbike. Tao brings out a pair of chopsticks and a bunch of smaller sticks that she spills on the ground. "Looks easy," I say happily as Tao picks up one of the small, slender sticks with her chopstick. She can lift each stick so that the others don't move even a little bit. She is patient and her fingers are careful, but when it's my turn, my clumsy fingers can't get it right. "Try again," Tao says. Finally, I start to get it. I can't wait to show Mom. "Mom," I gasp. "I need to go home," I explain to Tao in a panic. "My parents will be so worried about me. I need to get back to my grandmother's house, home. What if they never find me?" It begins to rain. The deliciously cool water mixes with the tears on my face. It rains here every day before dusk, and it's always a treat. The rain is a neighborhood friend who knocks at your door and asks if you can come out and play. In the rain, I forget I'm lost. Tao takes my hand. We kick puddles at each other. We catch drops on our tongue. In the rain, we're sisters. Very wet sisters. Just as the rain tapers off, Tuan returns. "I know where you live," he says in his careful English. He explained that his mother's customers had heard about the family from America that was visiting my grandmother. Tuan had tried to find Uncle Ben or Dad in the maze of market stalls, but no luck. He found out where our house is, though, and he offers to take me back. It's hard to say goodbye to Tao. We exchange addresses and promise to stay in touch. "I'll name my rooster Lucky," I tell Tao, "because I'm lucky to have met her, my new friend." When Tuan drops me off, Bao Wai is home alone, combing her hair and singing in a tone that is both lovely and sad. Her hair is a flowing river of silver. Her skin looks as if the sun had polished it. When I come in, she brings out a plate of fruit and gestures for me to eat. She sits by me, very close. I want to ask her the meaning of her beautiful, sad song, but instead, I just smile. When Mom, Dad, and Uncle Ben finally return from the market, Bao Wai is still singing, and I am combing her hair. "We were so worried," Dad says. "We looked for you everywhere." I hug him and say, "I thought I'd never find my way home." "Home?" Dad asks. I tell them about Tao and about the fried canaries and pickup sticks, and I was thinking that she and Bao Wai could come to America next summer, I said. I add, I'm afraid Bao Wai is too old to travel so far. And besides, this is where she belongs. Vietnam is her home, Dad explains. Well, it's my home too, I tell him. My home away from home. We'll just have to come back. At this, everyone laughs, even Bao Wai, even me. 2 weeks later, we pack up and all load into Uncle Bin's van. At the airport, Uncle Bin says, Be a good girl, and pinches my cheek. I don't even mind. Bao Wai stuffs dried bananas into my pockets and hides rivers of tears behind her hands. We don't need to say the words for goodbye. She touches my heart with her hand, and I kiss her cheek. And then we're on our way back to America. Before I came to Vietnam, I knew I was American. Here, I learned that I am both Vietnamese and American. I am from the East and I am from the West. My home is here, my home is there. Home is two different places on the left and right side of my heart. And here are some photos of the authors and illustrator visiting their family. So, in thinking about your family, and if your family is near or your family is far, maybe in another country, what are some ways that you remember the people you love in your heart? Things that you've done with them or things that you've talked about with them. And I hope that you always feel at home with those who you love. So, have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon. Have a great afternoon.